All right. What episode will this be? It wouldn't be the Real Pop Culture Podcast if I didn't do that.
The pre-research your...
I was like, is there anything else I need to pull up? Yeah, you might want to pull up your landing page. See where you're at. This will be episode 204, excuse me.
204.
203, if you haven't heard it, you need to go listen to it. Well, that was our Tupelo Con episode. Tupelo Con was great this year. And it was our return to Tupelo Con. We missed a year, and then before that, it skipped a year. So this is our first year back in episode 203. We had a really good time. We interviewed some cool people. Got to check out some animals. Everything they brought a bird to our table.
That's cool. Everything that was annual, COVID just messed all that up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I didn't realize it until we talked to Jamie Nunley. But the year we did the Tupelo Con that COVID happened, it happened a week after Tupelo Con. It's when COVID, like
they shut
down everything.
Yeah.
He said the next week there was a farmer's market or furniture market or something set that got canceled because of COVID a week after Tupelo Con. So it was like that close.
I remember like we were thinking 4 weeks when everything first shut down. 4 weeks.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks. We'll be back.
But then that same
year goes by.
That same summer in July, we thought we were going to get to do the cruise in Amory.
Yep.
And they canceled that the week of because things were just delaying on getting back opened up. And
yeah, and
that,
you know,
it's been weird ever since.
Talking about the Railroad Festival, how many years? Oh yeah, you can turn that off. How many years was it? Just 2? Because we had, and this is going to be a part of what we're getting into,
right?
So it ties in. There was a year that it stormed so bad they had to call it
2019.
Okay, I'm glad you remember things. Because I was going through my head all this last night, just kind of getting ready for this. And then, was the next year COVID? Because it seems like there was a year that it was storms and it never even happened. Like there were storms and they pulled the plug midway.
Actually, I think that was 2018 because we were all at the after party at Barry Wright's house and the tornado hit Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when it came through Amory, it hadn't touched down, but that storm system, Sean had to take somebody to their car and he got caught up in it.
Right.
And he took a video of the sign over close to where the second stage was, and it was like almost touching the ground, flapping back and forth. It was crazy.
And we got off on stage, I think, just in time, like right before it hit. You know, I think Killj was getting on stage.
We were hooking up our amps.
And as soon as you got on stage, we were getting off stage, that fast.
I told Billy, I was like, you could have pulled the plug a little sooner because now we got to pack all this shit back up that we just now got hooked up. But yeah, it was funny.
That was 2018.
I knew there was bad weather coming, but I didn't know if we were going to get shut down or not. I knew it was a possibility. And I was going through plugging stuff up, and here comes Billy unplugging stuff. And I'm like, oh, are we? He's like, yeah, we done shut everything down. We got a huge storm system coming, and we have these big, large pylon things that have the canopy. There's a lot of metal, a lot of electronics, so we got the hell out of Dodge pretty fast.
And that's the number one missiles and bullets and things that happen in a tornado. Those stage, particles.
Those trusses. Yeah, I've seen video footage of like at Rocklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
When like all this huge scaffolding and all that stuff comes crashing down. But, so anyway, let me introduce, because this isn't our regular scheduled broadcast. We got Robb here.
Yeah.
You may recognize his
indication
voice.
Number 1, it's not our regular podcast.
and it's going to sound better because we're using your equipment. I've had I had my hard drive crashed in the studio out here, and I've got everything built back up, but I'm trying to find my editing software. I may have to bite the bullet and just start using something that wasn't made in 2006.
Logic.
I may need a crash course, but yeah, he brought his mobile unit over, and we're going to talk about, and I'm going to call it the second stage because that's just burned into my memory. It's gone by different names. It was called the Rock stage for a while. Briefly, it was the Smoking Bros stage. Now we're calling it the Rock stage again. But it's the same thing. I just call it, it's been going by many names.
And we'll talk about the circumstances in a moment, but one of those is that it was brought to my attention today that we should just call it the local stage because
we can't call it the second stage because we're not affiliated with the Rail Festival anymore, and that there is no main stage. We are the main stage for our thing, so yeah, I wouldn't want to call it the second stage, but that's what I'm so used to calling it. I probably slip up and will. But what I wanted to do,
I think people know what you mean, though.
Yeah. What I wanted to do is there's a lot of information out there, and we'll get to that too about how the people willed this back into existence. And there's a lot of information floating around online. Most of it's accurate, most of it's close. And I've never done this before, but I just wanted to give everybody the history of the second stage, how it started, how it went over the years, some of the controversy, some of the, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. And the main thing with this account is I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to be nice. I'm not going to be anything in between. I'm just going to be honest about everything. And it's mostly good. It's actually pretty darn amazing that this even happened and carried on for so long and now has been resurrected by the people who want it. I
think it's super good for real because it brought us to where we are today. So good or bad.
Yeah.
And if not to put the cart before the horse or get to your story too soon, I remember Killj on the main stage. I believe this was, I could have got my years wrong, but I think this was 2006.
I think so too. I was thinking about that last night. I'm pretty sure when we finally got a regular slot on the stage. But yeah, I'll definitely get to that because I have to give a little history of Killj
on the main stage.
To get the history of the second stage because they do coincide and you'll see where it ties in. I'm not just shamelessly plugging my band, even though I do have a shameless promotion bell right here that I can't ring for some reason. I think it's something stuck to it. So, and again, I'm trying to figure out a way to abbreviate it to where it's not such a long drawn out. Yeah, condense it. That's the word I was looking for. We started out in late 99, early 2000. And I wanted to form a band. And I grew up in North Mississippi. I love the music that I was hearing. I was going to a lot of places trying to seek out music. I was too young to go in bars at the time, but I could slip in certain places. I'd go to festivals. I'd go to parties or just anywhere I could go where there was music. And again, loving the music I was hearing, but I saw a pattern develop early on. I was like, I'm hearing a lot of the same style of music, and I'm hearing a lot of the same songs. Everywhere I go, I'm hearing, and there's nothing wrong with those songs, okay? I'm not hating on any of it, because I listen to it too. I'm also a fan. But I was hearing, Your Mustang Sally and Smoke on the Water and Freebird getting played a lot. And it's basically only Southern rock, country, gospel, and maybe a little blues is all I ever heard around here. Again, great music. And a lot of people, I think, still have the mentality, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I liken it to this. I like metaphors. I remember when I was a kid, you were cool if you had the big box of crayons. Like, you were really cool if you had that box with the pencil sharpener, the crayon sharpener in it, built into it. And I look at a box of crayons, and I don't see 4 colors. I see a bunch of different colors.
Right.
I look at the music scene, I see 4 different styles being played, three or four, and that's it. And I'm like, well, where's the blues and the red and the green and the magenta and all those cool colors that you can't even pronounce? Like, what is this even? But it looks cool. And that's the way I was with music. I wasn't just listening to those 3 or 4 genres. I was listening to that, plus, some hard rock, some metal, some 80s hair stuff. Nobody was even playing like Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue around here. I mean, come on. What's wrong? And I was like, somebody needs to do that. And it's a big misconception about Killj and the rock stage is that a lot of people think it came from a place of rebellion, and not really. It was more like, this is what I like to hear. Nobody else is doing it. And that's the only accolade I brag about is like, there's a lot of rock bands around here now, and I'm like, you may do it way better, and you probably do, but you didn't do it first. I will, I'm a humble person, but the only thing I'll admit to is, and somebody's welcome to prove me wrong, I think we were pioneers. Original hard rock. A lot of people would call us metal music from North Mississippi. I don't know if I'd have known of another band doing it, I'd have definitely been a huge fan. But anyway, so we wanted to do something different, and it didn't work as far as like the people. We couldn't get booked anywhere, so we started making our own shows.
Right.
We would rent out of, you were there, playing most of them with me.
The field parties.
Yeah, the field parties, the VFWs. We would rent out a building, the Bash at the Birch. We rented out River Birch
American
3 years in a
Legions,
row
yeah.
and did a big Bash at the Birch, we called it. And hundreds of people would come out, and we would just have a big, good old time. And it's like, nobody wants to book us, so we'll just book ourselves.
Right.
And I remember real quick, I called one venue one time, and they literally laughed at me because they're like, "Oh, okay, what songs do y'all play?" And I was like, "Well, we're mostly play originals." It's like, "Well, what kind of music is it?" And I was like, "Oh," and I named off a few bands, and that dude literally started laughing, and I was like, "Okay, I got to go a different route." Whole time all this is going on, I've got the Railroad Festival in the back of my mind, because what an amazing phenomenon the Railroad Festival is. That every town around here has a festival, or has had a festival.
Right.
We even in Smithville, we had the Rod Brasfield Festival, and is it Houston or somebody that has the Flywheel Festival, and Corinth had the Slugburger Festival. Mm-hmm. Every town has a festival, but how in the world did this small town's festival turn into this huge thing that people come from all over other states? And I mean, I've heard some numbers thrown around, and I don't know how they calculate all that stuff, but like not at one time, but over the weekend, there's been over 100,000 people come to the Rail Festival.
Yeah, the number I got thrown out was annually, give or take, especially depending on the weather, 30 to 60,000 people come through Amory that weekend of the Railroad Festival.
That is crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah.
I mean, people like plan there's these groups of the Airstreamer people that have they pull those trailers, the RVs, and they tour all over, the United States. I think it's a bunch of retired people or maybe rich people that don't have to work, obviously. But they do their tour based around when's the Railroad Festival, because they come through and they set up out at the community center.
Right.
And it's just crazy. Like it became this huge thing. And I got, and I'm jumping a little ahead in the story, but I got lucky enough to talk to one of the founders of the first Railroad Festival. And from what I remember, the way he explained it to me, I think he said they all hung out around the barbershop, and they were all musicians. They would sit there and pick banjo, guitar, and they just said, "Hey, man, why don't we set up a stage and play some music for the community and let people come out and they just wanted to throw a party."
It started that small. And
yes. The first year the Railroad Festival won, there was a flatbed 18-wheeler trailer parked between the two banks, Community Bank and the People Place, which is now Renaissance, are right across from each other, and then there's an alleyway road between them, and then between those two on Main Street they sat the stage.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in the park the first year, and it was just music. That was it. And then later on, they added the vendors and the fried apple pie things that everybody loves, the apple fritters. They added all the food, all the carnival, and
car show.
And that's something. The reason I wanted to lay that the car show, of course. I wanted to lay that out there because we're going to circle back to the fact that it started as a music festival.
Right.
And of course they named it the Railroad Festival, and Amory's a railroad town. That's a perfect name, Amory wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the railroad. Well, the Amory used to be Cotton Gin Port.
Well, where you're speaking of, too, is where the old train is always set. So they put the first stage in that side street between the bank and the park.
Not the first Railroad Festival, but they do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, in present day. It was just a couple of blocks up from where you're talking about, though, where the two banks are. So anyway, the whole time we're doing our own shows, I'm thinking about the Railroad Festival because I'm like, what a great How awesome would that be? And it's in my hometown. It's like something big music related happens in my backyard. I want to be a part of it. But I knew that we weren't what's normally played there.
Right. But I don't care what kind of musician you are. If you've ever been to the Railroad Festival and you looked up at that stage and the big sound system and all the people that are there, I mean, any musician dreams of being on that stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely did. And that crowd, I mean, people, I don't know when they would allow them to start setting their chairs out, but whatever day that was, if you didn't get there right then, you didn't have a spot. Like, just people put their chairs out to where they have a permanent home base, just a place to sit in front of the stage. And the people went nuts, man. Like, it was huge. There's people everywhere. And I'm like, man, I'd love to play that. So anyway, we finally get to, I don't know what year the White Album came out. We did our first demo. And I'd been hearing...
I can tell you that was 2002.
I was hearing about Art Gentry. I knew he was the entertainment coordinator. We're going to talk a lot about him. Huge shout out to him. This wouldn't exist without him. And I heard that even though the band he was in is called the Gents, and they're well known for like doing weddings and stuff like that. They have this huge band with the horn section, and they're like local famous. You know, everybody around here loves the Gents. And even though that's not nowhere near the style of what we are, I heard that he was very like I heard through the grapevine he had been to a Metallica concert. I was like, okay, so this guy, I could probably talk to this guy. You know, we've already got a common link. So he's like me. He listens to a lot of different stuff. And I was like, okay. So I started trying to reach out to him. One thing I can't remember is how many years. I think it was 3. And that's kind of lining up with what you said and what 2006. I got turned down a lot. It helped when we had the demo. And because he had something for us he had something to listen to, you know. Still got to know. But I could tell it wasn't like a nah, this sucks kind of no. It's just like, yeah, I don't think Amory's ready for this. I don't think the Railroad Festival's ready for this. But he was down with the music and down with the idea. Well, then finally, and talking about trying to be pioneers and trying to be the first to do things, we decided to just, if we're going to be serious about this, cough up the money, go down to Biloxi to a professional recording studio. Shout out R.I.P. Clyde Hawley, great producer. We wanted somebody like, because he had worked with Three Doors Down and Adam Ship, and he had a lot of clout. And I was like, I want a real recognized producer. I want to do a real album. I want to send it and have it pressed. And this is back before you could get replication. I may be getting replication and duplicating mixed up. But you had to do a minimum order of 1,000 because they didn't burn CDs back then. They pressed them, and like the way the big boys got theirs done is how you had to get yours done, even though you're not a big boy. So we're infamous at this point. So we got a printed, actual, real album that looked like it belonged on the shelf at a CD store and was on the shelf at a few CD stores. If I wish those still existed. Shout out to Rockstar Records, which they sell 6 and 7 CDs, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, when I had that, I felt confident now because I got something that looks legit. And I called Art instead of talking on the phone. I was like, "Hey, can we meet? Can we have a meeting? Because I got something I want to show you, give you." He's like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And I went by his office. And I could kind of tell as he flipped through and looked at all the artwork, and he was asking me questions about it, and he was just like really impressed. And I could kind of tell the gears were turning. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, let me think about how I could work this in. So he calls me back a couple of days later. He's like, I got an idea. And this is back when Battle of the Bands was hot. Like, people loved Battle of the Bands.
Right.
It didn't matter who was playing. If it said Battle of the Bands on the flyer, people were going to show up. In fact, it got so oversaturated, that's what killed Battle of the Bands a few years later. I mean, every show was a Battle of the Bands. It was nonstop. He said, I'm thinking about doing a small Battle of the Bands, like in the middle of the the whole thing, and put the normally scheduled bands around it. Would y'all be interested in playing that? I was like, that sounds like a foot in the door to me. Even though I was never a huge fan of Battle of the Bands. they had their place, obviously, because people were showing up for them. I was like, yeah, we'll play. And we definitely didn't show up to win. We knew we weren't going to win. So that was out the window. We were just there to play, to get on that stage, to get in front of that crowd, because I felt that would lay the foundation to getting a legit slot there. And I'm sorry, this chair's squeaking like crazy. And I talk with my hands, so I'm making it worse. So we get up, we do the Battle of the Bands. Of course, we lost. There was a punk band there, because he was using this to try to get different stuff in.
Right.
There was another band that was kind of heavy that was really good, and both of those bands, in fact, we went on to do shows with. One of them played with us not long after that at the Bash of the Birch, one of the Bash of the Birch 3, I think. But the last band that got up and played, they played country music. They were really good, though. I mean, I'm not just saying they won because they played country. They won because they were good. But they did this Alabama song, and I can't remember. Maybe you can help me. It's got like an a cappella part at the end. Something about that Southern Sky or something like. These country people in here shoot me for not remembering the name. But I don't listen to Alabama that much.
See, there's that mountain music song, and
it's something like at the end is just them singing. It's like a cappella at the end of the song. It's a real popular song. I'll look it up in a minute just so I don't get shot for not knowing that. Anyway, when they got to that part of the song, everybody in the crowd stood up and started singing. I was like, oh, we're toast. Let's pack up.
Maybe it's that Dixieland Delight song.
I can't remember. And maybe it's a Smoky Mountain music song or whatever you said. I think that because it had something about a mountain in it. Anyway, that had. I mean, we weren't expecting to win, and that had nothing to do with it. But we did put on a satisfying show. Like, we were satisfied with it. Felt good about it. Lo and behold, the next year we get a call. We got the keys to the kingdom. We got a real slot at the Railway Festival. I was like, yes. And this is hilarious. You're going to appreciate this. While we're setting up to play, Art pulls up in his truck. He's like, motions me over there. He's like, hey, I just want to give you this. I'm in a hurry. I was like, because he stayed so busy at the Railway Festival, and he always played too. I was like, what is this? He handed me this piece of paper, and he says, it's your check. I was like, my check? For what? He's like, well, we pay the bands to play here. I was like, what? We're getting paid? Are you serious? I would have paid you. Glad I didn't tell you that. But yeah, I actually got a check for the first time ever. Like, we were so lucky. Back in the day, we did our VFW stuff, and we would charge the door, but we had so many expenses tied up. It's not like we ever got just straight up paid to play a show. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. So anyway, we played the show, and it was crazy, man. It went over so good, like, and it was about what I expected. We're on the stage, and we weren't on the radio yet. The Something More album was out, and it later got on the airplay or a few stations. So I don't even know how these kids knew about us, but kids had posters made, like, at WWE, they used to hold up all the signs. People had Killjoy signs and banners that they made, and the kids were everywhere. But in the back, there's this huge, like, half moon, several road semicircle of the parents. And we'll get to that in a second. But it was crazy because I'd never signed anything for anybody. I was like, why would you want my signature? That's, I'm nobody. But I signed T-shirts. I signed a skateboard. Kelly had a backpack full of CDs, the Something More CDs. We sold, I don't know, I couldn't tell you exactly how many, but it was way more than we'd ever sold at one time. And we were signing those, and like and that's where the tradition started. Because some of the people in the crowd, after we were done, found our set list and got us to sign it. Right. And that's kind of a tradition now. Like, nowadays, it's usually just Kelly, and Sean collects them too. They'll get them to sign us because they collect them. Mm-hmm. Like Sean and Kelly. And it's so fun to go back through and look at our old set list. Like, we played that song? Really? That's kind of weird. Or sometimes you'd be like, man, I missed that song. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much. And Art was always so cool. We would have a meeting after the Railway Festival to do a post thing. That was a tradition we kept. And he was always completely honest with me, and we would laugh about all the feedback, and because that semicircle of parents, it was so funny. From the stage, you had all these kids pumping their fists and smiling, like, "Yay, we're getting some rock and roll out here." And then the crowd in the back all had their arms crossed, shaking their head with this "not in my town" look on their face, like so unhappy.
Yeah.
Like those kids are grounded.
I remember that year echoing through the buildings, and I was trying to make my way to the stage so I can catch your set. And I happened to be standing by some really churchy folks at the time, and they were like, we can't believe this is happening in our town.
What have they done? Well, that's the kind of stuff Art would get from people.
Yeah.
A lot. He got a lot of hate, and he would read the emails to me, and we would just laugh at some of the stuff they would say. I mean, I grew up in church my whole life, and they went as far as to say, of course, it's the whole devil's music kind of thing, and I'm like, I'll see you in church Sunday, okay? But anyway, we had that meeting, and he was talking about all the hate and all the pressure he was getting from a lot of people. I was like, Art, look, dude, I'll tell you what. Let's just let them have the stage.
Right.
Let them have it. This is their stage. They want what they want. They like what they like. They're not ready for this.
A similar thing happened to us. It was actually shorter after that. It was one of those, I guess, epiphanies or revelations that I had as a band, and I never considered us a real heavy band, but some people do. It just depends on what you're into. But I remember doing a relay for life. And we were invited to come and do this. And then I remember having a conversation when we were invited to let the people know that was putting this together. It's like, what we are, right?
You did listen to us, didn't
you? I mean,
you still.
And they were like, "Oh yeah, we have your CD. We know that's what we want for this thing." I was like, "Okay, great. If that's what you want, that's what you'll get." But we're not good at doing anything other than that. We do what we do, and
yeah.
We're not a jukebox. You can't put a quarter in and request a song. It's just like, anyway.
We put all focus into perfecting one thing.
They promoted it so well. And then I remember setting up and people waiting while we were setting up, which it took me a long time because I ran sound that day. But while we were setting up, the chairs just started going deeper and deeper into the park. And
they kept scooting back?
No, they were more people coming. They were waiting for us to go on. And I remember almost like our first note, the chairs, people stood up, folded their chairs, and they quietly exited the park. I mean, within our first song.
Yeah.
I don't know if they thought we were going to be country or gospel or something to that effect, but we were definitely not what they thought we were. Yeah. And of course, when that group with the lawn chairs left, then in came the younger people who didn't want to sit down. And we ended up having a good show anyway, but I saw where it was oil and water. Same thing that came to the revelation.
Yeah, there's no middle ground. It's either you hate it or you love it.
It's like one of those things like you were mentioning where it's like, y'all have the park, but let us go do our own thing. You know?
I was like, look, I'm not asking for something big and elaborate. I said, give me like a loading dock at the back of a factory, or give me a trailer somewhere in an alleyway, or heck, give me a broom closet. I'll make it work. Because guess what? I love playing and I love being a part of something that's this big. And not only that, but I know a lot of bands that would kill to be able to say they played the Railroad Festival.
Right.
They would never have an opportunity otherwise. Mm-hmm. And I could tell when I'm laying this out for him, I saw the gears turning, and he goes, well, there actually used to be a second stage. Down at Vinegar Bend one year, he said we set up a stage and had music down there too. And he said technically there was a third stage one year because they set up some bands and stuff at the old armory on the other side of town. Well, kind of on the other side of town. And so they had places where there was three, and to me that makes sense. And me and him talked about this a lot, and I brought it up at the beginning of this conversation. The Railroad Festival started out as a music festival,
right? So
why not, if you're going to double down on everything else, double down on the music too? Mm-hmm. Because there's bands that want to play. I promise you, like there was a ton. I mean, there were bands that do country and gospel that couldn't get on the main stage. You know, like, so it's kind of impressive that we actually even made it. But he was like, you know what? Yeah. He said, let's do it. He said, I can't promise you a lot of money. And I was like, you know, for staging and sound and back then we were kind of doing our own thing anyway.
Right. We were used to doing that.
We did find out pretty quick though that the little places we were playing, the sound system we had was probably adequate, but to play outside, you need a little more horsepower.
Right.
And so not to get ahead of myself, later on I was always timid about asking for any money because I'm like, most of you don't even want me here to begin with. So now I'm asking for money. Like, who are you? So I was always kind of a little gun shy about trying to like, can I just get like a stage, like because like, and this is how our minds worked back then. Johnny Plunkett knew a guy with a big trailer, and he wanted to borrow the trailer, and the guy was like, well, I got some rotten boards on it's like the wooden slats that are in the middle of the trailer. And he's like, Donnie said, I tell you what, if you let us borrow the trailer, we'll replace the wood.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, yeah, you got a deal. That's just how we worked back then. We would do people favors, like we would work out deals because we didn't have any money to throw around. But you know, we can put some boards in your in your trailer for you. So like, yeah. And Donnie is really good at carpentry, and he got all that going. And the first year, man, it went off. It was on the corner of Main and 3rd. I think that's 3rd Street that breaks off, and there's a gravel parking lot right there. We set up there, and what's kind of funny, the only thing they did not hesitate to give me was some money to hire security. Because, and when I say they, I do not mean every single person on the committee or in the city, or I mean, there was a few that were very supportive, very helpful, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I mean, there was a lot of people that were like art. They were like, yeah, man, let's do something different. I don't like it, you know, go to the main stage and listen to that. You know, we got options. You ain't got to listen to it. But he's still got all the hate mail every year. We can get to that in a minute,
But there was some suspicion that, over there on the rock stage or the metal
there's
stage,
going to be drugs, there's going to be alcohol, there's going to be fights.
Yeah.
They're like, you watch.
Gangs of...
And he got a lot of warnings from emails from people, like, you just wait till the goths roll into town. I'm like, I'm not goth. Like, dude, I'm wearing like a freaking t-shirt I bought at Walmart. Like, I've never worn makeup if it's not Halloween in my life. But anyway, what was I saying?
A goth in Crocs.
A goth in Crocs. I like that. But we set up and we played, and it went great. Everybody had a good time. There were no problems at all. Not one. The bands loved it. And for the next year, I got hit up by so many bands. And bear in mind, I don't have a budget. I'm not paying any of these bands. Right. I mean, they deserve to be paid. Mm-hmm. They deserve to be paid well. But I can't. Like, and I tell them that, and I don't care. They're like, we just want to be a part of this, man. This is... And I'm like, wow, this is like becoming a movement. And I had a lot of trouble because the festival did tell me it's fine since I'm affiliated with them to go ahead and try to get sponsors and vendors and stuff like that. And that'll help you, raise money to put towards your production. And that was cool of them. The only catch-22 to that is I would go to a business or something. They're like, well, we already sponsor the Railroad Festival. Like, we've been sponsoring for years. I'm like, yeah, but I've got my own thing going on here. And like, well, you're with the Railroad Festival, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I need money too. Like, oh, we already. So it was kind of a weird dynamic where I'm like, well, I'm with the Railroad Festival and I need sponsorship. And they're like, well, we already sponsor the Railroad Festival.
It's more of a common thing now because when you go to a big festival that has multiple stages, then you'll see the National Guard stage. When I went to the Jägermeister stage.
When I went to Memphis in May, you had the Pepsi stage and the Budweiser stage.
Right.
And I wanted to get a big sponsor like that, but Pepsi already put so much money. I don't know any Like when it comes to the money side of there, I don't know any numbers at all. All I know is what works financially and what don't for the Railroad Festival. And that comes down to something very simple.
And that's the reason I think it landed on the title Rock Stage versus Second Stage.
Well, I can tell you exactly.
It's because when you go pitch for sponsorships these days, when you say, well, I already sponsored a Rail Festival, say, no, you're sponsoring the Rock Stage.
Yeah.
And that makes more sense to people.
I got to give Clint Ritter credit for calling it the Rock Stage because he has a degree in marketing. And he said, I don't think you should call it the second stage because that makes it feel like
degrading
the second rate,
Right.
Which
I've always felt that way too.
Yeah, it's like second rate. It's the evil stepbrother of the Railroad Festival or the main stage, and that's when I started calling it the Rock Stage. But that actually, the only problem is because at that point, after we got a few years under our belt, it was so popular that other genres of bands, and we ended up booking. Some rock bands, Christian rock, country. Then later on, I'm jumping all around in the timeline now because year after year, if you do it for 13 years, it gets fuzzy.
Rock can cover such a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
Because there's country rock. Popular country bands today use rock musicians and metal musicians, and then you can call a metal band. Well, that's a hard rock band. Of course, anybody that's into metal will say, no, that's not metal. But in most people's mind, a rock can cover a wide spectrum. You could put a blues band on the Rock Stage and people won't question that.
Yeah.
And I don't think throughout the years that the difference in genres on the Rock Stage came into question.
Well, there are major players. Like, this was not just me. Like, I couldn't have done it without several people that helped. And again, a lot of people that were very helpful were on the committee and people affiliated with the Railroad Festival. Again, there were some that were like they were in that mindset of not in my town, but not all of them. I'm not going to say it was a bad experience. It wasn't, but it had bad moments. Anyway, and we had gotten pretty diverse in the bands that were playing. And one of the bands, and I'm not dissing the band because they were absolutely amazing, but they played Simple Man. And me and Jessa looked at each other, and we just died out laughing. She's like, it finally happened. It's come full circle. Somebody played Skinner at the Rock Stage. And again, we weren't laughing because of the song. I like that song, but we were just laughing that somebody finally played Skinner at the second stage. So we definitely had diversity there every year. And another thing that happened is it got so big and so popular. I'm like, well, the Railroad Festival starts on like a Wednesday or Thursday and goes till Sunday. Mm-hmm. Why are we just doing Saturday? We've got the following now. We've got the resources. Let's add Friday nights. And everybody's got a lot of people have to work. So we'll start it a little later. We're not going to do it all day like we do Saturday. Right. And maybe just start out acoustic and then go from there. And at this point, and again, I'm getting my years mixed up, but I remember one year in particular, we were using our own PA stuff, and it was a huge moment. It is probably the third, maybe fourth year. That parking lot was packed. I mean, there were people spilling out in the streets, and we were getting ready to go on. We were headlining that year, and one of the amps burned up, like the main amplifier that was providing power to the speakers blew up, and like we lost this iconic moment.
Yeah.
Like we could have been the heroes and finally been recognized in my own town if we'd have gone up and played a good show, but it got cut unceremoniously short. And so that next year I asked for just a sound system,
right.
And what they did is Billy Armstrong, I gave him a shout out. He's one of the major players in all of this. He already did sound for the festival, so he kind of bundled it in. He's like, well, and again, I don't know numbers. I have no clue. But I don't think it was a whole lot because he was already there and already had his equipment there. He just adds a little on to, and I'll put this stuff out there for the second stage. So at that point on, I was like, Yeah, now we sound legit because we're not just using my stuff and sometimes an amalgamation of a couple of band stuff. I haven't given a shout out to Kali yet. He was huge and all that because he's our sound guy. It kept going good, and then I was like, now we sound legit. Now I want to look legit. Like, how much would it cost to get a real stage set up instead of these trailers? And we had to figure out like this. Somebody backed out, and we got to get this guy to try to pull us one in. And people, I think I know somebody, and it was always a hassle to get the stage itself. And they approved it. They let us set up a legit stage, legit sound, and. Oh, which, by the way, hey, let me back up. The security, they stopped paying for security after about the third year because they're like, we're wasting our money.
Right.
There's never been one fight.
Not one incident.
There's not even, people aren't even cussing. Like, there was one year, because
there was a heavy police presence that they were bored.
Yeah,
and some of them were into the music. Yeah, they were into the music too. I remember seeing some.
I was paying these guys to be there, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is I want some action." I'm at the wrong place. I'm like, "Well, go to the carnival."
Yeah, there's a lot of action.
That was a little stab. Sorry, but there were some incidences, police incidences over at the carnival on multiple occasions, and we weren't far from there. But I'm like, well, there's where the security needs to be over there. Anyway, they pulled the plug on the security because they're like, these guys aren't doing anything. So they just told the local police, like, hey, when you're making your rounds, go through there. And we had like a path. They could drive their little cart or whatever, through the golf cart or whatever, through there and just check it out. They could see somebody they know and they'd talk to them, and they'd talk to me for a minute, and they would ease on through. And like you said, some of them like the music, so they just sit there and listen to it for a minute. So anyway, then a few years go by, and you start amassing this awesome sound system yourself. And we got to the point where you didn't even really need a PA because you had a more than sufficient. Especially, I think one year we even combined ours together.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And it sounded great, but I still wanted the stage. And one of the problems was that it was some years it was so hot on that stage, like it was just burning up, and like amps were overheating, and like on the times it would rain, we have equipment on the stage, and I'm like, okay, I don't need money for a PA anymore, so that'll save you some money. How about a cover?
Yeah.
How about now we look really legit because they approved that. And
other added bonuses come with the cover too, because now you got a lighting truss to put actual true stage lighting up. And
the first year we had that cover, I was taking pictures and posted it online, because especially after they put the skirt around the stage, I was like, this looks like a legit. It looks like we're getting paid to be here.
Yeah. Still didn't get paid, but
of course not.
But that tells you how DIY this has been for us from day one. I remember those early years where we were indeed piecing PA gear together.
It was a several day ordeal.
Because like you said, when you realize like, hey, our equipment does fine on these little clubs, but especially, and this is what's most surprising, is that we were filling the parking lots up. Mm-hmm. Like a sea of people every year and year after year. So to fill that much space became a more daunting task because of I don't think I even expected the amount of people that kept showing up for these gigs. And so when you got that many people, you got to be able to shoot the sound over their head and reach the back of the
now
crowd.
You can lift the speakers
and
up.
That's why we were blowing up amps and doing that sort of thing. And to think that some local boys who never get paid because they're an original band to have this, line array equipment that can, match what's going on over there at the main stage. We didn't have that kind of budget because we didn't have any budget.
Right.
But we made it work every year, so much to the fact that people would go to this word got back to me on many occasion that the people working the sound at the front stage will say, hey, when is Kill J going on? Hey, when is Seeking 7 going on? Well, when is whoever's going on? And they were all you're talking about the rock stage just down the way a little bit. They would go to the main stage expecting to see us. Yeah. And because we grew our crowds and
the stage itself had a following and obviously still does. We'll get to that in a minute. And I'll tell you one thing that helped us and one thing that hurt us. After a while, after it gained its following, instead of me calling and begging for sponsors and begging for vendors, they started calling me. Like, hey, do you have a spot available? I'm like, shoot, I'll make one. Because we were desperate. I asked one year, because the people were asking me, are you ever going to do, because one of the big things of Railroad Festival is the Railroad Festival t-shirt. Like, people collect those. Yeah. There's some people that have the Railroad Festival t-shirts going all the way back. They want one for every year. And I was like, what if we had a second stage t-shirt, And we made it happen. And that helped on the years that we sold shirts, that people actually bought them. That was a big help. And then in the next year, I was like, can I put some of these in the T-shirt booth?
Yeah. Well, there's so many factors to that, too. And weather is probably the number one factor.
Very much so.
April is always a rainy season. And so if we would have a good, clear, beautiful day that wasn't just absolutely blistering hot, we were lucky. And we did. We had a really good run there. I think for like 5 years straight, we had no rain.
If people ask me more, the question I get asked the most is, why do they do the Railroad Festival in rain season?
Yeah.
That's in the middle of the rainiest rain season.
Some of us know the answer to that.
Oh, well, I'll just be honest with you. I don't think it's a secret. It's the schedule of the carnival.
Right.
The carnival is the
moneymaker of the.
That's Big Daddy Warbucks for the Railroad Festival.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money they make. I ain't got a clue, but I know they based when they're going to do it around when that carnival can do it.
Right.
No carnival, no festival.
No festival,
and so
that carnival
that's when that carnival can be there.
It is a draw too, because I know that attracting people.
Oh yeah, it's a huge draw.
Yeah,
they turn out schools
attracting
so the
people
kids could go to the carnival.
Yeah, that's what they do. Is like what attracts people to go to the stage is, one, they don't have to pay a cover to go. Two, they're like, well, I could bring the kids and drop them off to the carnival and come and check out the stage. So it worked to our advantage, and we used that for many years as a tool to help bring people to our stage.
And people listen to this, they may say, well, you don't have your facts straight. And I may not, but because there may have been some leeway, but that's when that carnival, or one of the times it can be available, and that's why they book it then.
Right.
That's why it doesn't move. Now they have adjusted it, trying to like beat and sneak around the rain. Even though rain is random, we're gonna move it up a week and move it back a week, and sometimes that's worked and sometimes it didn't. But
it's insane though, because I've been to really cold railroad festivals where we're all in jackets, freezing to death. Then I've been to ones that I got sunburned and blistered and heat exhaustion from working the stage.
Dude, the next day after the festival, I would always be so burnt, so tired. I remember one year I had on a Fitbit, and I kept having to walk back and forth from our area. This is one cool thing, is they would always provide me with ice, and I don't think they may have charged somebody for it, but they didn't charge me. I'd go get ice, I'd go get drinks. Pepsi sponsored the Railroad Festival, so they would hook us up. So that was cool. But yeah, I would run back and forth to the T-shirt booth because I had to make sure they were actually putting my T-shirts out. And some people did, but some people were like, "Oh, we didn't know." I was like, "Yeah, I saw the T-shirts out, and now they're not. Like, if somebody buys one, if you don't mind, there's the box. Just put some more out." But that's neither here nor there. At least they let me sell them there. At least they let me have T-shirts. So I'm not going to bitch too much about that. But yeah, you could tell the people that weren't like into it, they would kind of forget to put out my T-shirts. I could have sold a lot more, and that was the only like thing that I could have. I don't even want to use the word profit, because I never any year made any money. even the years I had the most sponsors and the most vendors, I would just put more into the stage. But I remember one year in particular, I took a big loss because of the weather. I bought a bunch of T-shirts and people didn't come out because it was supposed to be bad weather, and I'm still to this day stuck with a bunch of T-shirts from that year. So the next year, I was kind of shy, and I ordered way less. I could have sold 100 more.
Right.
You just never know. Like, it's hit. So even the T-shirt thing, it could be bittersweet. Which, by the way, again, I'm jumping around, but we are going to have, more than likely, a small run of T-shirts this year. So we'll get to that in a minute, because I was just talking about T-shirts. One thing that it was always funny is I always thought this is going to be our last year, every year. Not because it went bad, or just because of all the flack, and the bad. Every time we would take a step forward and a step back. And the weather was part of it. There's nothing you can do about that. But another thing that hurt us is we got moved around a lot.
Yeah, that was kind of our curse, if you will.
Yeah, but I wanted to get out of that gravel parking lot because, like, if it rained, there's this huge puddle. Shout out to Butch Palmer. He come in with a he's a big help for the second stage. He came in with a tractor one year and smoothed out that parking lot. He later on wound up owning that lot we were in, and I was like, the first time we moved, it was my idea. I was like, I want to move into a parking lot, but I didn't know the politics involved with the parking lot, because one thing I learned from being on the inside is that there's this weird love-hate triangle that goes on between the Railroad Festival and the city of Amory. I always thought they were one and the same, but they're not-ish. It's something I didn't never figure it out. Because the city of Amory doesn't put on the Railroad Festival, I don't guess. It's the committee.
It's a committee.
Yeah, it's a committee that puts it on. So they're not the same thing. I would think at a festival,
they just acquire the permits from the city to do it.
Yeah. And so, and then there's this other love-hate triangle with the businesses in Amory. A lot of them hate the Railroad Festival.
Yep.
And
which is surprising, because you think it.
But then some of them would embrace it.
Right.
It
would surprise me, the business that would complain about the Railroad Festival.
I know. You've got...
Especially when they close down
you've got a potential for a customer base that you're never going to have any other time of the year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there may be hassles involved. I've heard one business say, well, they'll get all our parking places. We can't park nowhere. We have to walk to work. People just come in, want to use your bathroom all the time. I'm like, but it's one time a year.
Right.
It just happens one weekend a year, and that's it. You can't walk a little extra, for 2 days.
Yeah.
Because it's on the weekend. I mean, you got Thursday or Friday or whatever, and then come Monday, you're back to normal.
Yeah.
So
I never got that argument. It didn't sit well in my brain.
And a lot of people, and one big thing is we can't get UPS in here to deliver our stuff because of the road. We had to go meet them. Again, it's one time weekend. A year. But then there's some business owners that would open up their doors, literally prop them open, and be like, "Hey, come on in." And
open house.
Butch Palmer, I think he was running Western Auto for a while. He's like, man, I would double down on zip ties and tarps, and I would have everything in stock and ready. And we made a killing the Railroad Festival weekend. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the way I would look at it. And plus, when it's lunchtime, you got a awesome food court that's in walking distance of, there's so many more advantages than disadvantages. And the parking is the thing that really just blew my mind, because people are really possessive about city-owned parking lots and parking. This is where I always park. This is where I'm always going to park, and now I can't park here. And their people would just cuss us because we're using their parking lot. And I'm like, give us a couple days, we'll be out of your hair, and you won't see me again for a year. And then you have the possibility of other entities wanting that parking lot, and it's not like we were going to get priority. We were kind of the runts, So we got, this year we're going to put you here. Well, we're going to try. We're just going to put you in the street. Here's a good one. We're going to put you in the street this year. Well, one thing I never realized about a street, they're not level.
Yeah.
At all. They're round. Yeah. If you really look at a road, it rounds. And I guess that's, for a reason, because, runoff, rain and stuff. So that was a hard year for the stage. I mean, it's adjustable. but getting that right, getting it squared, that was a challenge that year. And we were fine with the location. It wasn't far from where we started, but right around Vinegar Bend is where they had the car show. And at the car show, they were complaining that the music was too loud. Well, I even had a sound decibel reader on my phone walking around taking readings while the bands were playing. You could not hear the second stage from the car show. It was the carnival. There was blasting music, and it was rock music. So they assumed it was us.
Yeah.
But like there's no way, no how you could hear, because it went around a corner and you had the loud noise of the carnival. Like all of those rides, people had these big speakers playing Robb Zombie and his kids. So they're going to play, younger oriented music. But I was taking readings and I was like, it's not us. But
right.
But it's still that was the end of that spot because they were like,
and
that's
that's
too
what's
loud.
weird though, because you never hear a complaint about the main stage. Ever. Like all those vendors that surround the main stage, I don't think they ever went to and said,
and we were always
hey, your main stage is too loud.
We were always so careful to adhere to the schedule. Like you have to be done by 10 o'clock. And I would tell the bands, if we run over, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut your set short, because we have to be done by 10. Because I didn't want to break a rule and then anybody used that against us. Yeah. And like I would threaten.
I remember a few years where the police actually came and said, no, you're done,
Yeah.
And we were just it was probably 10:01 and the police were there.
Yeah, because a lot of the residents would complain if, and this is noise ordinance, I get it. And we were fine. If it was 10 o'clock and they were telling us to shut it down, we'd shut it down and we would be like, okay, this is what I agreed to. But like I said, we were so careful about, like I would threaten the bands, because in our genre of music, some kids, they get a little excited and they cuss on the mic, Yeah. And I'm like, here's the thing: if anybody in your band that has a microphone in front of their face says a cuss word, you're never playing here again, because they will be like, oh, you done messed up now.
They were looking for reasons.
Oh
to shut us down.
Absolutely. They would send people down there like to spy and to report back. And it's so funny that like one year they were like, somebody came back and said there was a lot of cussing going on. I'm like, not from the stage, there wasn't. They're like, well, I think it was just like people in the crowd. And I was like, what the heck do you want me to do about that? Like they're free to say whatever they want. I can't govern what they say in the crowd. All I can do is take care of what's going on stage. And if any band does, let me know, because they'll never get to play here again. They'll be ejected, because like I said, I don't want to give them a reason. But it was funny, like there was a couple times they complained about cussing. I'm like, well, it ain't coming from the stage, I promise you. But if people in the crowds are cussing, I mean,
what can you do?
What am I supposed to do about that? Like, excuse me, sir, I noticed you used some foul language there. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have that kind of time to police everybody's what they're saying.
If you're going to use that kind of language, go to the main stage.
Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody was like screaming F-bombs to the top of their lungs and I heard it, I would have been like, hey, whoa, dude, come on, be cool. But I never.
Especially it's the one gig, at least speaking from a Seeking Seven's perspective, it's the one time a year that my kids could come and see the band.
Yeah, there were people would walk up with strollers. With their kids.
Kids are everywhere.
Yeah,
and it was fun because
it was free to
most
the
people didn't want to go to a bar or a club to catch a band, because that's not their thing,
or they're not old enough, or like you said, they can't bring the family, and it's free.
Yeah, so I mean, perfect storm there.
Yeah. The moving around hurt us, and I know firsthand, and it may be all my fault, because I was the one that wanted to get a better, and when I say better, I just mean like a level concrete area. But the moving around, I know it hurt us, because that's what people would come up to me, no matter how hard we advertise, and this is where I got to give another big shout out, Ray Van Dusen, our boy at Monroe Journal. He always was 100% pro second stage. Like he would do a big write up. He would do the big
make sure that we're in the
they call it the tab. It's like basically a magazine that comes out with the paper, and they would put pictures of the bands, and the bands would be like, oh wow, like look at this, we're in
with
like
their
this.
bio and everything.
Yeah, the bands loved it. I kept all of them. And we would have stacks of them on the tables, for people to take, and the souvenirs, and all the bands, they really, really got into it. And and people would look in the paper to see, who's playing this year, and because this isn't pre-internet, but it's like you're walking around with your face in a cell phone. Talking about like you probably had dial up
right
during the early days of the stage.
I mean, it's a lot of times band names that you never may have heard of too, because some of the out of town bands that we might have brought in. It gives them a quick chance
most of the time
to learn a little bit about them before they go see the
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll remember a lot of the links I was sending Ray for the bands were MySpace links, so that kind of gives you an idea of the timeline. Because MySpace had the songs on it, so you could go read the bio. He would cut and paste. You could listen to the songs, and he did a really good job putting that together. And I've done stuff like that before, putting stuff together for media. It's not an easy task, and he made it look really good. And
not to mention the number of interviews that I've given. I can't speak for you, but probably that it was the worst interview ever. But then I read the article, and I felt I sound like I actually know what I'm talking about. He was so good at taking my babble and turning something really cool into a really good article from it.
I always felt sorry for him because he would transcribe our conversation in the interview, and I would dump so much on him because we can tell I have a podcast. I obviously like to hear myself talk, and man, I was like, I'm going to give you way more than you need, but and he would always craft it perfectly. Like he knew what to leave out.
He's a master at that.
What to leave in, and he was just writing so fast. I was like, did you bring a spare notebook? And he would just laugh because he knew what I was talking about. Like I could fill up a spiral bound notebook to interview.
And if I could speak for Ray, it was a nice break in his normal writings that he just got to do something. He really enjoyed it. He really enjoyed writing those articles up for the bands. That was it.
So I think we've covered a lot about the beginning. I know I scrambled up the middle parts of it.
We probably need to talk a little bit about how it came to an end.
Yeah, that's kind of the next phase. Is like we've covered all the good, the bad, the ugly. And, there's stuff I've complained about on here, but I promised I was going to be honest, and I'm just telling the truth, but to the best of my recollection and knowledge. Again, there was a lot of people that loved it. There was a lot of people that hated it, but I liked all of it. Like, I'm grateful. Some people think I'm bitter and pissed off because it
lasted way longer than any of us thought.
I didn't think we'd last the first year. Yeah. And if one thing had happened, one fight or one arrest, or
it would have been done then.
Oh, it had been done. Like we were. We had no tomorrow, so like we threw everything into every year that we could because there's no tomorrow for us. This is probably not going to happen again. And when it got to like the 5th year, I was like, "Wow, 5 years, and we're going to die."
I think we made it to 12. That we actually got to physically do.
Yeah,
there were more than that got canceled for one reason, but 12 altogether. And I remember 10 was going to be a great one, and then it got rained out, I believe.
Yeah, that's around the time we had one that just did. There was one year it got the plug got pulled on us. Not midway through. We got most of it done, but the problem is when there's a threat of rain, it's going to hurt your crowd, even if nothing had happened. The fact that unless it's a nice day, you're not going to get as many people if there's any threat of weather.
Right.
It's just not a rain or shine.
Especially now since we've had a devastating Smithville tornado,
people
then a devastating Amory tornado.
They were really gun shy now.
Just a few years apart,
So one year it was cut short. One year it didn't happen because of the weather, and then there was at least 2 years of COVID. So there hadn't been a proper railroad festival in 4 years.
Yeah,
and this is where this might be a little controversial, but I mean, I'm just going to tell the truth and this is just my opinion. In my mind, I'm like, oh man, everybody's chomping at the bit. The Rail Festival has been suppressed for 4 years. Everybody is built up. Everybody's ready for the triumphant return of the Railroad Festival. And in my mind, they're going to double down on everything. They're going to get Reba out here on the main stage, and they're going to give me some money to run the second stage.
That's the way
they want the biggest one ever, because people are like, that's literally, and it'll be like the 5th anniversary or 6th. I don't know. It's 40 something. I should have looked that up. Anyway, I was like, man, this is going to be amazing this year. And the word got out, hey, we're doing the Railroad Festival this year. We're going to have to scale it back because of, funds. And there's going to be no second stage. We're scaling back the main stage.
It's like, I think I heard the term soft return. Yeah.
I coined the term half-ass. Why would you half-ass something so amazing?
Yeah.
And that's why I was ill about it, because I was like, not because I got canceled. I was going to get canceled every year, I thought.
Yeah.
It's because why would you half-ass something that should have been the opposite? It should have been whole-assed plus some.
Yeah.
And I was like, the triumphant return is a triumphant trickle. Like... Dude, what are you doing? And they're like, well, and I don't know. They never even called me or contacted me. I found through the grapevine that I was canceled.
Right. Same here.
Yeah, and the only word I heard one person say, and I know this is hearsay, and I'm calling it hearsay, so it may not be true, but that there was a new entertainment coordinator and that he was a youth pastor, and priority one was to get rid of the second stage. But what I officially heard through reliable sources is that they use I keep putting quotes when I say budget cuts. Somebody somewhere should have come up with some money somehow. I'm not saying I have the answers. I don't. Well, they probably did have a limited budget from being down for 4 years. I understand that.
That's not even a viable excuse, because for many years we operated with no budget. I mean, they could have said, hey,
we did it for free for 13
They could have
years.
said, we're taking the stage from you, and we're taking your security, and you have zero budget, but you can still go do it.
Borrow some money. Take out a loan. It'd be worth it. You're going to get it back.
Even if they didn't pay, even if they didn't come up with any money at all, we could have still pulled it off, on our own. And but then that's where the problem comes.
Yeah, if they just pulled our funding, and we would have been gone back to what we're used to. Yeah,
but then,
by that time you have a stage, you have a awesome PA with trusses and lights, and you don't have a cover, but like everything we need,
we have
that we already had. We have still now, and we can do it. And we'll get to that in a minute. You've proved that because you did do it later on, but. That's the only thing that frustrated me about the year it came back, is like this huge return. Everybody's been suppressed and not been able to go. They've been stuck in their houses because of COVID. Everybody's been disappointed so many years in a row, and now the Railroad Festival is finally back, and it's like, and I'm like, I hope they recover or have recovered. They always recovered from bad years where it rained, but I know for a fact there was a lot of disappointment from a lot of people, not just me. In fact, I probably had, to be honest with you, I was starting to get a little fed up at that point anyway. Not so fed up that I was going to quit, but part of me didn't care that we got shut down. And again, part of me was ready for it every year anyway. But to hear the excuses and the reasons why just didn't add up to me. Nobody bothered to call me. Nobody picked up the phone and said, hey, Mark, we're sorry. We'd love to do the second stage again, but we just can't. But instead, I found out through the grapevine that I'm canceled.
And then there's elements in
and I say I mean we, because I didn't do it by myself.
Well, there was elements in the independently returning the rock stage that we didn't account for, like obtaining a permit, since we don't fall under the support of the Railroad Festival Committee. And then there's obtaining an insurance.
There was part of me that I was like, I can do this without them.
Right.
Because at this point, Butch Palmer owned the parking lot, and me and Butch are close. Like, he would have let me, I'm almost positive, use that area.
Right.
But I don't get insurance. I don't get, the police were always awesome, because they would be like, hey, if you leave equipment out here overnight, we've been instructed to patrol heavily to make sure nobody messes with your stuff, like during the night.
Yeah, and we lose that. And
well, it was that kind of stuff. There's a lot of, there were perks. I'm not denying that at all. So I was like, and at the time when I found out of it, I didn't have really time to do it on my own. And again, I was kind of burned out. I was kind of fed up, and I was just like, you know what? It's silly, the excuses I'm hearing. It's kind of rude that no one contacted me, and nobody can say, well, we didn't know how to contact you. And I'm one of the easiest persons to get in touch with because I'm all over Facebook. You can get in touch through the band. You could get the podcast had started by that point because Real Pop Culture, we'd have our banner out there. They could have contacted me so easily, so many ways. So I don't even want anybody to mutter the words, well, we didn't know how to get in touch with you, or we didn't have your number. Well, this is 2020 whatever. Like you can get in touch with anybody if you really want to. And nobody reached out to me and said, sorry, maybe later on if we get our budget back. No, nobody did anything. They just said, second stage, bye-bye. It's probably the first thing out of their mouths if I had to imagine.
Right.
It's like they're probably ding dong, the witch is gone.
Well,
that's the way I picture
right
it.
about that time as well. Even I had given up. I was like, well, I guess it's just not going to happen.
They finally got us.
I'm still full of zeal, though. I'm like, I just happened to be in a conversation with Joe McGonigal at Smoking Bros. And he came to me asking me why we're not doing the rock stage. And I didn't fully have all those answers because, again, they didn't contact you or myself.
It was all word of mouth.
And what I did know is like we had already researched some insurance. We already researched a little bit on the permit. And then so I mumbled permit and insurance to Joe McGonigal. He goes, well, why don't you do it in my parking lot? Because then you'll fall under my umbrella of Smoking Bros insurance. And then he goes, and Smoking Bros Piggly Wiggly is privately owned. He goes, why don't you do it here? And I thought that was a great idea. So
absolutely.
So like in a matter of less than a month, I think I had 3 weeks tops.
It was amazing how good that went off in the time y'all had to do it.
Yeah, and we spun it together into existence. But my that was my thing. I was like, since I have such a little bit of time to put this together at Smoking Bros, I saw a bigger thing. I said, this is our future home. This is where we'll be forever. No more moving us around.
And Joe was animate about that. It was he kept saying during the day, he's like, we're doing this every year. And I was just so happy that we planted a flag. We're alive again.
We planted a flag. We're going to set roots here, and then we don't have to worry about re-explaining where we're going to be at every year.
And again, at this point, you've got everything we need.
Exactly.
You've got a stage. You've got the great PA. Like I loved how you had the PA set up outside, but then you had some of it inside.
Yeah.
So the people in the inside Smoking Bros eating could hear the music. Like I thought that was a great idea.
We were going to add a big projection TV and sound system so you can actually watch it too.
And that takes care of your rain as long as the bands will still play.
We had so many ideas.
Stay inside.
So I did a light, and then the next year I started in January, and I was paying for a big headliner. And I went all out this time, and I was getting sponsors, and I think it was less than a month away from the Rebel Festival when the tornado hit.
Yeah. And
totally demolished Piggly Wiggly and Smoking Bros.
Completely. So much so that, and correct me if I'm wrong, financially, it would have been so much money to redo all that they just decided not to.
Right.
Like even though with insurance, it would have been so costly to start it back up.
Yeah.
That they would have had to keep working for another additional whoever knows how many years just to absorb that.
Well,
that
so
loss.
many. I mean, I don't know the minutia of it all as well, but I do know like building code has changed since then.
Yes.
The cost of materials has changed since then. So to say that your building's worth X amount of dollars, That's different from rebuilding an entire shopping
That's exactly
complex.
what happened to Piggly Wiggly in Smithville. It got wiped out by a tornado in 2011, and they wanted to reopen, but there was something about the deep freeze and these. You have to have these huge walk-in refrigerators, and something about the code had changed on those, and they're way more expensive now. And they were just like, shoot, it would take us too long to recoup that. That's just so expensive, and they opted out of having a grocery store in Smithville for a very long time.
Yeah,
I mean, now you got a Dollar General, but I don't think you still have a grocery store. But one thing I wanted to add to that part of the story is, and you can correct me if I'm clean up my verbiage for me, but I believe I heard that some of the people at the Railroad Festival got mad at Joe for having the second stage, and he was like, well, y'all didn't want it.
Right.
I'd love to have it. So why you mad, bro? You didn't want it.
I wasn't there for those conversations, so I can't quote what was said, but there was some verbiage along that lines that was exchanged, because at this time, Joe is part of the committee.
Yeah.
And being part of the committee, he himself supported the rock stage.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he came to me with the idea of moving it to Smoking Bros. I didn't go to him with it. He came to me, and I just thought that's a beautiful opportunity. And,
Joe was very open-minded.
And it allowed me the opportunity to keep the stage going. And because that's what I wanted. I didn't want to – I thought like you did, Any Day was our last one, but – I didn't. I still was
at that point.
I didn't want to see it come to the end. That was
at that point we felt like you said, we got a home now. We got somebody that is animated about doing it every year. And throughout the night, he was like, "Oh yeah, we're definitely doing this again." And next year I want to do this and that. And we're all like brainstorming.
Yeah.
It was just a really hopeful time.
Sure.
Until Mother Nature intervened.
Then
I kind of felt like going back to the well, you didn't want them, I did. It really felt to me like if your girlfriend dumped you and you didn't want to break up with her, and then you started dating another girl, and then she got pissed.
Yeah,
that's like, I didn't want to break up.
Yeah,
so why are you mad?
Yeah,
you're the one that threw me away. Somebody, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Right. Is that how it goes? And Joe was like, well, y'all wasn't going to do it anymore, and I was like, heck yeah, it sounds like a.
I mean, I think it was a brilliant move on Joe's behalf, because that light return, the first year where I only had three weeks to put it together, you couldn't fit a person inside his store. I mean, he made a killing that night. I mean, we had such a great crowd that night to be.
Yeah. Well, the whole day.
Yeah. And you know what? It didn't even bother us that they had Journey, Tribute, and Spunk Monkeys on the main stage. Spunk Monkeys came out and watched this. Folks after they got done with their set, they came down to Smoking Bros, ate, and watched the bands on that stage.
Yeah.
So even people from the main stage were coming over to watch us
way on the other side of town.
Yeah, from Smoking Bros. And on social media, I still get tagged in some of the video from that night that we played. Wow. Yeah, that's pictures awesome. Or a video or something. I still get tagged from time to time about that, because that year was just an accidental goodness, and it was me just
and the weather was good.
It was me prepping for a big next year, but then the next year, of course, the tornado took out the entire Railroad Festival as a whole. They didn't even do it.
Yeah,
they did a little thing in the fall that kind of substituted for the Railroad Festival, but it wasn't the same thing. And
they didn't have the carnival for that one, did they?
No, it was just a little vendor. I think they call it the Depot Fest or something like that.
I wasn't able to go to that, and I did not go because I was mad or bitter. I think I was on vacation.
It was an odd time of the year when they did it. I remember having a gig myself, and I couldn't go.
Maybe that was it. Maybe I did a show. There was something scheduling wise I couldn't go.
So that brings us to present day.
Yes. One thing I want to because this is your story to tell, but I just want to tell you the thing that's got me so excited, and I made this comparison to you before we started recording, and you really liked it, so I want to make it again. This year, and I had nothing to do with it. It's 100%. No credit comes my way for the last 2 times it's happened, including this one. But I'm still super stoked to be a part of it. the fans, the people that liked going, the people kind of willed this into existence in a weird way. And they, like, people on social media, I got to give a shout out to Sierra. She put a post somewhere. I don't think I'm a part of that group, but Alicia was reading it to me. And it kind of went, locally viral a little bit. A lot of people were reposting, and a lot of people were commenting on it, and other people were sharing, and it got reshared by them a bunch of times. And like I said, it gained a lot of momentum, and
apparently got to the board of the Rebel Festival committee, from what I hear.
Oh, I hope they're mad too.
Oh, they were. I got one text.
I'm glad you're mad.
I chuckled because this is
you could have had me.
This is your joke. You're like, hey, the Miller Lite people are on the phone and they're not happy.
Yeah.
But I get a text from the girl who initiated, I think, the viral post. And it says, "Hey, so and so is on my phone. She ain't happy."
Well, this is
but that was for real. That wasn't even a joke.
That's one reason I wanted to do this episode this way, because there's a lot of information out there. Most of it's accurate. Some of it's not, and I just wanted to give everybody my perspective, because I've been there since day one of the history and how it really went, what was really the causes and the effects, the good, the bad, the ugly, and just be honest about it. I'm not anti-Railroad Festival. I love the Railroad Festival. I think it's amazing. That's why I wanted to be a part of it before I did the second stage and during the second stage.
If any of us was anti-Railroad Festival, I think we would boycott it, but we don't. Because we're for
I'm still in the Railroad Festival's corner. I still live in Amory. I want it to do good. I hope it does better every year. And I wanted to keep being a part of it with the second stage, but they cut us out, and now they're going to get mad because we're doing it without them. Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're mad.
Agreed.
I'm really, be mad. I've been mad before and I got over it. And you will too.
There's this a brand new cigar company that I must plug real quick. Draw Cigar Company just opened up, and if you're familiar with Amory, it's where Haney's Car Lot used to be. It's right across from Indulge.
Kind of catty-cornered from across from Pizza Hut.
Yeah, very, very central place in Amory.
Oh, I have the address now. Do you want me to?
Yeah, plug it.
That way, because some people want the address just for
GPS purposes.
Yeah, because they put it in there. It is 503 South Main Street, Amory, Mississippi, 38821. And correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm gonna let you tell this part of it because I have no idea. But did Kim Coleman, he's the owner of 1817 Brewery and Draw Cigar, he saw those posts and then reached out to you? Is that how it worked? Is that kind of...
From what I understand, but maybe not, because I do recall, I've been extremely busy these past couple months, like more than I've ever been. And I didn't know what it was concerning, but... I get a text from a guy that I vaguely know, Kim Coleman, and asked me to reach out to him. And I was like, yeah, man, sure. I'm at work right now. Can I do it at this time? And he goes, oh, yeah, sure. And that time came and went, and I forgot about it. And then this thing started picking up speed online. And then as the buzz started buzzing louder, someone poked me and said, hey, did you ever contact Kim Coleman? And I was like, no, was I supposed to? And then it hit me. I was like, oh yeah, that guy. But I didn't know what he was trying to reach out to me for. I had no idea it was Rock Stage related at all. But anyway, it come from a different person in a different conversation of him asking, why don't y'all do the Rock Stage anymore? And this person told their version of it, and he's like, well, we could do it here. That's why they started. And he goes, well, get in touch with Mark Klingen or Robbie Ross or whatever. And so when this started buzzing, this one social media post, it dawned on me that someone did try to reach out to me. So I returned the phone call a day late and almost $1 short. And that's when he asked me, he said, well, do it here. Stand it up right here in my lot.
You know what's funny in retrospect? I went to their soft open for the Draw Cigar, He's going to do a grand opening later, but he wanted to do a soft open. He had a Smoking Bros food truck out there, and I was like, man, this is awesome. This is what you needed. Like, I love this place, this location. He's like, yeah, man, this is private property. I can do anything I want out here. And I was joking. I said, where are we going to put the stage? He's like, yeah, right. Yeah. And then this is way before I knew anything about any of this.
And maybe that was the, like Inception, a dream within a dream. You put an idea.
I wasn't even thinking about the second stage. I was just, because he's in a band.
Maybe you planted that idea.
I was like, private property, I can do whatever I want. Where's the stage?
That idea, I guess. Well, so we may have inadvertently had something to do with it. Mark might have done some Inception stuff and planted a seed. And it became his idea.
I don't think Kim knew I was the one that managed the stage, because you did it the last time, so that's why he was reaching out. So I don't think I planted the seed. I just think it's ironic that in retrospect, thinking I just almost jokingly mentioned where we're going to put a stage out here.
Yeah,
because it's a big lot. It used to be a car lot, so there's plenty of room.
Oh yeah, and he's got it all played out in his head too.
And it's walking distance of the main stage.
Put everything, so he knows exactly where he wants everything to go. And so yeah, it's. I was like, well, only thing that I thought was, his business just opened, so he couldn't have offered it sooner. But that left me in my mind. I'm like, well, I have less than 3 weeks to whip this thing together, and I was not confident that I can actually pull it off, but I think I did.
Yeah,
I think I did.
Dude, that flyer you released today, was that today or last night?
Last night, but updated
it went
today.
Viral today. Like I flipped through my feed, and everything is that flyer from where everybody's. It just keeps showing up because they reshare it. I was like, wow, this is gonna be cool.
I really want to say this. This rock stage is brought to you by people.
The people
sponsored this stage and wielded it
comparison
into existence.
The Snyder Cut comparison, like the Snyder Cut of Justice League wouldn't have come out if it hadn't been for the fans that kept tweeting, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut. There was a hashtag that there was like millions and like maybe even a billion. Whatever the hashtag does,
and it was Max, HBO
viral.
Max, that jumped.
And they're
in
like,
said,
"There's obviously a demand for this.
We'll pay for it." WB,
they were the Joe McGonigal.
Yeah, they were. Like WB's like, yeah, we're restructuring everything, and Max was like, okay, we'll fit the bill.
We want it.
Yeah. And
so the Snyder Cut was born because of the fans demanded it. They're like, we want this, and then somebody said, well, that's something people want. Then there's an opportunity. Why pass it up? Why just let it die?
Exactly. Same kind of situation here. This is brought to you because people willed it into existence. And, for me, all I need is an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's all I ever need. And if you present to me an opportunity, then I'm going to run with it. And because I don't want to do anything with my life except play music and help other people who love it as much as I do have a chance to play as well.
Absolutely.
And that's my MO, my mantra, my life, I think my purpose. And so keeping this rock stage alive is one way that that's why maybe what's more fitting than calling it the rock stage is the local stage. And here's why most people are upset. It's not necessarily because they love rock music or metal music. That's part of it, sure. But it's really the fact that the main stage more or less shuns local artists. They bring people from out of town, and I think they pay
out of state.
I think they pay ridiculous amount of money for bands that people don't necessarily care about. Like I don't know the numbers, but I know that for a couple of tribute bands, they paid probably as much as you can get the real band here for. and I think if a lot of people's opinion is that if you take that money you spent there and funneled it back into our local economy by supporting local musicians, then you'll have a bigger festival. I don't know if that's true because I know national acts do, but they really haven't brought in a very, very notable national act. If they did, they brought up a washed up 90s country act. In their
defense, I will say this though, booking is hard because it's all about routing, it's all about price. Like if you want to book Little Texas and they're playing on that because you got a static date locked in, and let's say they're on tour and they're in like North Dakota, 2 nights before, you're going to pay them a lot of money to drive down to Amory, Mississippi,
to make the trek here.
Yeah, but if they're going through to do a show in like Florida. And they've got a day off,
right? That's
called routed. That they'll do it for way less than normal because they're like, "Hey, why not stop and make a few extra $1,000?" And we're going through there anyway.
And going back to the old days, where the conversation with you and Art Gentry was like, "Y'all have this stage, we'll go do our own thing." Having said that, is like in defense of the main stage. That is a logistically tough thing to do, and we do need the national acts to be the draw. But let the locals have their own thing.
They give them an opportunity,
and that's I think is what's most important. Is because you worked 3 years and made friends with the committee member. Some of these bands have sent submission after submission after submission and never even get looked at because the people like Art from back in the day, you know how many submissions that they go through a year to weed out to say, well, who am I going to pick this year?
Yeah.
Because so many people, especially local, want on that stage, and it's you have to play the cards right to make it a festival that everybody's happy with.
And if you'll notice, I did bring in bands from out of town and out of state as well, but 90%, maybe more, of every band every year I focused on local, homegrown.
Yeah,
there's good bands here, right here in our backyard. There's good music here. And I'm not saying the main stage doesn't. That's not what I'm saying. They do put local people on there. But sometimes some of the lineups I look at and I'm like, wow, I've never heard of these guys, and they're from like another state or whatever, and I'm like, man, they're probably getting paid pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to keep it local, but I didn't want to be like, you have to be local. That I did book a band from Memphis. I don't know. There's been several. Roses Unread. They're from Jackson, Tennessee.
There's a balance. You want to give the people, the local bands, shot, but then you also want to throw in there something they never had before, to give it exciting, and if we look at this year's lineup, I really did the same thing, and I was really, really, really lucky to get this band, but our headliners for the evening is going to be Jackson's favorite band, Storage 24. And
nice.
They're coming down from Jackson to be part of the Rock Stage this year, and I thought that would be really cool because it gives the locals a chance to play before a band that's just about to hit the national scene, and it's going to be really cool because I predict that in 3 to 5 years, someone's going to say, "Oh, Storage 24, I love that song. I hear it on the radio every day. Oh, I remember seeing them before they made it in Amory, Mississippi." And I feel that Storage 24 is this type of band. And so Killjoy, Secret 7, Southern Discomfort.
Let's go through the whole lineup.
Yeah, they all get a chance to say that.
Let me interrupt you real quick.
Yeah,
because I forgot a shout out. I got to give credit, and I know after this is done, I'll be like, "Oh my God!" I know I got to say right now, if I unintentionally forgot to give you a shout out, I'm sorry. But Sean Brennan, he came in after Art. And he was either over the entertainment or definitely helping with the entertainment. He was a huge supporter,
right,
of the rock stage. He was always, and see, here's one of the problems that happened is that at my work at the time, they would always have their meetings on Monday. Not every Monday, but like at least one. I think one a month. They would have the committee meetings, and I was always invited. Yeah. They didn't push me out or shun me out, nothing like that. But because of my work, they would do it at lunch, and I was working in Fulton, so I'd have to take a whole day off just to go to the meeting. So I wasn't able to go to a lot of the meetings. I only went to a handful of them, and Art even kind of called me on it one time. He's like, "Well, I don't want them to think you're an elitist." So I wish I could have had a better presence there. That might have helped,
right?
Because I think once I got in front of them and they got to know me, they knew I just wasn't this, evil bastard that's going to try to come in and destroy the city. They saw him just a normal dude that wants to play some music, and I think they saw another side of me that might have been different from their ideas of what I am and trying to do. But he helped a lot. I wish I could have gone to more of the meetings, but he was kind of my voice when I wasn't there. So that, I believe, that kept us alive further than we probably would have been.
Yeah.
Like I said, new administration came in, and all of a sudden, boop, we're gone. Anyway, I'm sorry. I want to interrupt because I didn't want to leave him out because he helped a lot.
And I know I'm forgetting a lot of people too that kind of makes this happen, this thing happen. But as with the return at Spoken Bros, I thought year one, just very little time to throw this together. Let's do a light one, but then give me a chance to really build one for next year.
That's what I'm thinking this year.
Yeah, and that's the same concept. I'm like, I don't have much time to throw this one together, but believe you me, now that we planted roots and got our flag planted here, we're going to make next year's a huge one. But just completely by accident, I think we filled the bill with a really, really good lineup. I think so.
Yeah, dude. I couldn't have come up with a lineup that good with 2 months' notice. You did it in a week, and the flyer looks amazing. And if you guys like the flyer, that's going to be the concept of the T-shirt. Yeah. I don't think we're 100% guaranteed, but we're 100% going to try to have at least a short run of T-shirts, because that was always a big part of it. Like you said, people like to collect them. People are like, you remember this? You remember this year?
I got most every year. Most every year. I know I buy one every year, but those early years, like 1, 2, and 3, maybe I don't think
I have a year. We didn't do shirts the first year, so
yeah,
I think it was at least the second year before we started doing the shirts.
And I don't think we even numbered the Rebel festivals till much later, so those early shirts don't have a number on it. But it's just the Rebel Festival this year, whatever.
Yeah, and I would always have like a theme on the front. I always trying to incorporate the railroad. Yeah. I liked like the angry train thing, kind of. That was cool. I did one that looked like a railroad crossing,
but it was a skull.
No, it was. Yeah, there was we did a Jolly Pirate one year. It looked like the pirate because we're like the pirates of the Railroad Festival. But yeah, you're right. We did do that. But the one I liked was really simple. But it looked like the X with the RR.
Yeah,
that sign.
That's the one I think I referred to.
Yeah, I may have done. I did one.
I don't know why
2
I was
years
thinking
in a
that
row.
was a skull, but
no, I think we did have a. I don't remember, but I tried to make it railroad themed, but I also wanted it to be kind of edgy. And then on the back, I would always put the lineup.
My favorite T-shirt was the one I think didn't happen. Was 10.
Yeah, maybe so. That's the whichever one I've got the most of still.
Yeah, and I think the next year. You didn't make any shirts when we tried to sell the rest of those 10s. So
I would always mark down like previous year's shirts. I'd mark them down to like $5.
Yeah,
and just to try to move them and recoup some of my losses. And people like that because if for some reason they weren't able to make it that year, they're like, "Ooh, I didn't get one from last year," and they, it's a good upsell there. You get a shirt and then one of the old ones.
So this year's festival, as a recap, is going to be at Draw Cigar Company. If you're familiar with Amory, it's where the old Haney's lot is. We'll make sure that we post the address for you. So, and they're offering their lot, and so they are our headlining sponsor. Then Hannah Contracting agreed to bring us a stage.
Nice.
And Noise Plant Sound Engineering Crew, which is a company I kind of started with my sound stuff and lighting. They're coming in with the audio, and it's going to be both days, Friday and Saturday. Friday, April the 12th. We're going to open things off with Shannon Waits at 4. 5 o'clock is going to be Jake Wood, great friend of mine. Two other good friends of mine, Austin Howard.
I was excited to see Jake on there.
Yep. 7 p.m., Hunter Adair. 8 is, and this is a full circle thing. I was talking to Ray about this, that I have pictures from I don't know which rail festival it was, but a young kid, probably 7 or 8 years old, on stage with Nate Sloan, because he brought his kids to see him play that year. Now Nate's kid Silas Sloan is actually playing on the Railway Festival.
That's cool.
And Silas told me, he
like
said
a legacy.
He watched the Railway Festival because of his dad every single year, and it's always been his lifelong dream to get that gig.
That's so cool.
And so it kind of made me a little teary-eyed when he was telling me how honored he was to play the stage, and how impactful that we didn't even know that we were doing. And then on Friday, myself, I'm going to do an acoustic set, but I'm really trying to twist Mark's arm to get up there with me and do a few acoustic songs with me.
I guarantee you
Friday
I will
night.
next year. I just don't have enough time to put it together.
We'll see what we can do to twist his arm.
I'm not like you. I can't like just. You could sit down and do a concert like waking up from a dead sleep and put on a 3-hour show. Like I gotta really get my material together, and
that's because I do it every weekend.
When I'm on, it's repetition. I don't, so I have to really plan it out. Now, just get on stage and singing the Killjoy songs. I've got a whole band up there with me, so and they're all talented. So. Yeah. But if I'm sitting there with an acoustic and it's just me, I ain't got no safety net, no back. If I mess up, I'm just out there naked. But I think I would love to do it next year on the Friday night. During
my set, I think I'm gonna have another good friend do backup vocals and maybe play the cajon for me. From 9 Lives Gone, Jeff Sanders, I think, is going to come and sit in with me. So it's going to be cool. That's Friday night. On Saturday, we're going to kick things off at 1 o'clock with Carl and the Road Dogs. Now, if you don't know Carl and Road Dogs, they're a high-in-demand band, one of the highest-in-demand bands. So to get them out of their schedule, they're booked till 6 years from now. I mean, they're a band that's very, very active, and they're always booked. So to be able to pull them off the road to no pun intended, to come and play with us that day, it's really cool. So 1 o'clock, Carl and the Road Dogs. 2, one of the best 80s hair band cover bands I've heard, Silent Screen. And then the legendary Mookie Wilson at 3 o'clock. My good friend Hunter Myers, who I got to plug Hunter Myers here for just a second. This dude is becoming an advocate for singer-songwriter nights. He puts on the Romy's singer-songwriter show and brings in so many good artists that I'd never even heard of that are writers in this area, and he seems to be able to have the ability to bring them all in one location. Silence's band, who is going to be there at 5 o'clock, Sloan and Summerford. Then my friend Kelvin, his band Southern Discomfort at 6. Sick and 7 will be at 7. Ring the bell.
Nice.
8 o'clock, Kill Jay.
I was trying to ring it for y'all too.
You got your bell too far out of reach.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Move it. 8 o'clock, we got Kill Jay. And then from Jackson, Mississippi, one of their biggest bands in that area, closing out the evening, starting at 9, is Storage 24.
Well done.
Yeah. And
that's a solid lineup.
Yep, and we will
solid.
have T-shirts if we die trying. We're going to have some of these T-shirts for you guys.
If I have to get a Sharpie and write the Return on the Rock stage on there,
it might be our best seller.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, and we have so many more resources now that we didn't at year 1, year 2, year 3.
Yeah,
we're going to make these shirts ourselves.
That's true.
That's basically the only way it would work.
Yeah.
With this short of notice.
That's how DIY we were, but it takes years to build this thing. Like the PA and lighting system I have now, that's taken me 15 years to build.
Yeah.
And learning how to cut out the middleman and do screen printing on your own. I mean, that's a lot of equipment that you have to buy, and not even to mention the learning curve. If you never burnt emulsions, that's a hard thing to learn to do and make it professional looking, like you didn't do it yourself. But again, you're right. We do have resources, but we have more than 15 years of experience of throwing this thing, so we know now what works and what don't work. I think we know more what not to do's than what to do's, and I think that's why we're still doing this. That, and thank you to all you people that raise the fuss. I mean, speaking from the heart, not just trying to be angry or just saying I'm sad because it's not going to happen. And it was enough,
legit sad,
to light a spark to that spark that burns bright enough for the committee to see to prompt someone reaching out to me and said, "Will you please stand up a rock stage because people are wanting it, and we want to help with it." And that means a lot, I think, because that's a testament of the 15 plus years that you slaved over this rock stage, not even for your own good, for the good of the county and the good of the festival and the good for, I mean, I can speak for my band. When I started, I didn't have no one to call but Mark, and I was like, I don't know what I need to do, Mark, but how do I get on your rock stage? I mean, you were my first go-to.
You're a shoe-in, dude.
Well, I mean, when I started up, not necessarily. You know, we were rough around the edges, really rough, and as any startup band would be. And you know, you were my first contact, and you know, I loved it so much, and I appreciated it so much that I'm a roll up your sleeves, get my hands dirty kind of guy. And I was like, well, let me, you know, I don't have much money to give, but I know how to work. And that's always been my mantra.
And every year since you got involved, like this is probably the biggest shout out we need to give is to you, because you literally busted your ass with the PA system, everything you did. You and me and Kelly, Jessa, like we would always have sunburns and 10,000 Fitbit steps on our tracker and a sore feet and stuff the next day. Like
full disclosure, almost every rail festival that was successful that Sunday, I'm laid up like a hangover, but swearing I'll never do another railroad festival again.
Yeah,
because I'm hurting that.
But then
bad.
you've got a whole year,
and then it wears off really quickly.
I'll be honest with you, there was a couple of years
that weekend after, though, man,
that I was kind of fed up with all the crap, the politics, and the naysayers, and I was like, you know what? I proved my point. I think it was the 10th year. I was like, I did this 10 years. Who thought I would have made it to 10 years? I was like, I'm not doing it next year. But then I had a whole year to get over it.
I think I heard you say that once. I was like, oh, no, Mark. Oh, no.
I had a whole year to not only get over my little pity party and my little pout session and put my boots back on and then get excited about it again. And then I had just enough time to get the bad out of my system and start getting excited again and start booking and planning. And, yeah, there was a couple of years that were like that. And, you know, going back to the committee, there's been a lot of member changes over the years. I don't even know if there's anybody on the committee now that was there when they started. So some of them that were on the committee told me that they felt that way. They were like, I'm not doing another one. And then, some of them might be like, come on, like I definitely need you because you're on my side. So I don't need all the people on my side to quit. And I kind of helped tug some people, back from the, trying to, but that just kind of tells you a little bit there, that there's a high turnover rate.
Oh yeah.
In the committee, because
it's a thankless job. Matter of fact, you get more criticism than anything.
And I'm pretty sure, I'm 90% sure none of them, it's all volunteer.
It is.
So people are like, I'm not making any money. I'm working hard. And they all work. Even the ones that hate us, they not taking anything away from it. Even the people that didn't want the second stage. For the Railroad Festival, they busted their butts and worked hard and never got a dime for it. And so, I could see why you're like, why should I have to do this? I'm getting pushed back or this or that. Like, I just won't do this anymore. And I get why there's a high turnover. But, like I said, you have a year.
Yeah.
To find yourself again. And get back to it. And see, now I've had like, 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So I'm really
with COVID and tornadoes, man.
I've had plenty of time to recharge and ready to put me back in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Same. I feel the same way. And I can't name any names, or I won't name any names, but it's funny you said that because I had a conversation about one person on the committee who is at that point too. It's like, I ain't doing this no more.
Yeah.
And they volunteered to do it because they loved it.
I did that to Art for a year or two. I don't think he'll mind me saying this because he told a lot of people that he's thinking about retiring a year or maybe a year or two before he finally did. And I was like, dude, don't leave me.
Yeah.
I was like, if you leave, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But then, again, thanks to Sean Brennan, he kind of held the torch.
But you
after
never
Art retired.
You never know from one regime change to another the changes they're going to bring about.
Oh, absolutely.
And unfortunately, that it changes a lot. And I think it needs to. I think it needs to have fresh members and fresh perspectives all the time. But also, there's a certain amount of appreciation for the work because we built more than just a chance for somebody to play during the Rail Festival. We built a following for that stage, and we spent 12 plus years of our lives doing it, working thankless, countless hours. Like you said, the work that went into one Rail Festival that was successful was just unyielding. Like I said, my body literally hurt for weeks.
And we were younger then, and we were still.
Yeah, man. Now I'm a lot older, and I can't work like that anymore. I don't have the ability.
I'm gonna buy fresh shoe and shirts.
I think I got good at recruiting crews to help me, recruiting young guys to help me move things and stuff.
Thank you. That's another big shout out. All the volunteers
throughout the years.
The years, man, we've had some good ones. We've had a couple that were like they just wanted the laminate.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we always had good volunteers. So thank you to everybody that's helped load gear, unload gear. Just the whole. I won't go through everything that volunteers have to do because it's a lot. But yes, big shout out to the volunteers that helped. And it was kind of some of the It's funny that this has kind of happened because of the people, and those were the people. They were like, hey, I want to not just enjoy this, but I want to be a part of it. Like, This is so cool. I want to chip in for free.
Yeah. And you pretty much have to, though, because, again, we have no budget to speak of, and none of us are getting paid. And, getting paid would be nice, but like as you're witnessing live, we're still doing it. And we're not getting paid. That tells you that we want to do this and we love it.
We're not sellouts, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Where's my nice car if I'm a sellout?
Let me do my Seeking 7 rider before I play the Rail Festival.
All right. So I just wanted to give everybody the history from my perspective of the Railroad Festival second stage, because one, in my opinion, and maybe I'm biased, but I think it's a very interesting story to tell.
It really is.
It's crazy how it came together. There was a lot of crazy times. There was good and there was bad.
More good than bad, though.
Way more.
Yeah, way.
Again, I can't stress this enough. I'm not sitting here selling sour grapes and fussing and complaining. I got nothing to complain about. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everybody in Amory made this easy for me. They did not.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that did, and there was a lot of people that didn't. And if I may, and this is kind of name dropping, but most people around here is not going to know his name anyway. I interviewed a comic book legend, Chuck Dixon, and I asked him about what was the difference between working for Marvel and then working for DC. He says it's like anything else, man.
I remember this interview.
He said, it's like any club, any organization. You got awesome people at both places, and you got some rat bastards at both places. That was his quote, and I was like, wow, that's a good. So he got screwed over a lot, but he didn't sit there and whine about it. Yeah. He was just like, hey, there were some cool people there. It wasn't a bad experience. My time being an official part of the Railroad Festival, I do not look back on in a bad way at all, because it was way more fond memories. And again, what a ride! What a crazy
it's been a crazy
ride. It's been, and it's still going, even though there was a getting canned was a huge bump in the road. Yeah. Obviously, I got thrown off the horse, but thanks to the people and thanks to Kim Coleman and people like that and Joe McGonigal, here we are. We're still doing it, man.
My summary is that, with the help, as we mentioned along the way, but Mark Klingon forged this thing into existence.
With the help of a lot of people, though.
I came in and I did my part to keep it going. But then, literally, the people who has supported our stage forged this year into existence because it was not happening.
They spoke up and they used their voice.
So this is
and people listened.
This is your rock stage, not ours.
Yeah, this is for the people that said, no, I want this back. And people like Kim Coleman and Joe that was a visionary enough to go, hey, this was a good thing. Let's keep it going. Give it, because I can't do anything without a place to do it, So I'm at the mercy of an unavailable way to do it. And so, hey, I'm down. I'm as happy as I could be, because you know what it really I almost got kind of emotional when Alicia was reading all this stuff, because I was like, wow, all that hard work and people really cared.
Yeah.
They cared.
And honestly, I didn't have the idea, and I know you didn't either. I had no idea this would happen. I thought
not in a million years.
I thought
people would be like, "Oh well, it was fun while it lasted," and move on
blown away in the wind and obliviated to oblivion. But so it's humbling.
Yeah, very.
And
it's like people actually cared that I put in all this hard work and all these people worked so hard to make it happen, and now that it's over, again, I thought people would just be like, "Oh well, darn," and that's it. But no, they literally just made this happen again.
And I mean, that's all you need to tell me. You say you want it, and give me that opportunity, then I'll work for you.
That's all it takes.
It's hard to stay motivated when you don't feel like, or you feel like you're the only one that wants this. And that's truly not the case here. And
it's been proven. It's been proven now that's not the case.
Right.
Now we have proof.
Yeah,
that we're not the only ones.
And because we have it, we give you the Rock Stage 2024, presented by Draw Cigar Company and Hannah Construction, and it will be presented to you on April the 12th and 13th. In Amory, Mississippi, during the Railroad Festival. So as you're doing the carnival, the car show, the arts and crafts, checking out the main stage, mosey on over to the rock stage and hang out with us. We're going to have all kinds of cool stuff, and you don't want to miss this year.
Absolutely. I guess we're going to wrap this bad boy up, and the next time, well, you don't see our faces now, but the next time you hear our voices, it'll be over at the rock stage. Again, it's right across from Pizza Hut. It's about, what would you say, 2 blocks from the park?
Oh, yeah.
So go to the Railroad Festival, have a good time.
Easy.
Get those fried apple fritters and ride some rides.
If you
then take some time to come by and give us a holler.
I pulled up the map on Google Maps, and I took my finger and I did the finger measure. From the main stage to where our last Railroad Festival was, not Smoking Bros, the last Railroad Festival.
The last stage. Parking lot went at past Vinegar Bend. It's
a shorter distance,
but in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
I was wondering. I'm glad you said that, because I was wondering. I'm like, it's not far, but it's just the opposite direction of where you would walk originally towards the second stage.
See you there.
All right. Thanks for listening to episode, I had it pulled up, 204 of Real Pop Culture. We've been broadcasting live from high atop the first and only floor of the Kill J headquarters at the Kill J Ranch. Love you. Bye.